So, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to kick off the hour today by discussing the verdict in the Michael Dunn trial. Michael Dunn, if you're not aware, is a 47-year-old white male who was on trial for the murder of the 17-year-old black teenager, Jordan Davis. And you can probably tell by the tone in my voice, the verdict, folks, was not a positive verdict. It's tragically another instance that shows how little we value the lives of black people in our country. It's tragically another example of the absolute insane, quote, stand your ground defense laws that we have all over the country. And it's actually tragically another example of a kid, a young kid being killed for the crime of being a black teenager. So if you're unfamiliar with the case, let's go over the actual details of it. So in November 2012 in Florida, yeah, again, Florida, I know you're shocked. So in Florida, Dunn and his fiance pull into a gas station. Next to them is an SUV with 4 black teenagers inside playing their music loudly. So as Dunn's fiance goes inside to the gas station to buy snacks and wine, she actually testifies that Dunn told her, quote, "I hate that thug music." I know. I mean, that should go to show you where we're heading here. Obviously, most people know that thug is essentially now just a substitute for the N-word in our society. When racists want to be racist without saying the N-word, they say thug instead. So Michael Dunn hates thug music. His fiance goes inside. Dunn then gets out of his car, goes over to the teenager's SUV, and proceeds to confront them and get into an argument with these kids about their music. Dunn then has an argument. He goes back to his car, reaches into his glove box, and pulls out a 9mm gun and proceeds to fire into the SUV, killing one of the kids inside, the 17-year-old Jordan Davis. The SUV backs up and drives off. After that, Dunn actually gets out of his car and shoots at the SUV as they're trying to flee from this crazy racist. So okay, after the shootout that Dunn has, the gun he pulls out, the confrontation he starts, the murder he commits, Dunn at this point in this gas station, after shooting at this car, what does Dunn do? Does he rightfully go and call the police? No, he doesn't do that. He doesn't call the police. His fiance comes outside. They get back into their car, and then he and his fiance proceed to drive off to their hotel. And do they call the police when they get to the hotel? No, of course not. They get to the hotel and they order a pizza. They eat their pizza, and they go to bed, like anyone does after getting in a gunfight. So the next morning, they wake up. Do they call the police then? No. They drive home to their home a couple hundred miles away to Jacksonville, Florida. Does he call the cops there? No. He later, then eventually the police come to his house and arrest him, because someone actually got their license plate number from the gas station. So they actually have to hunt him down and get to him. So, gets in a gunfight, doesn't call the cops, goes to a hotel, eats a pizza, goes to sleep, goes home. So later on to the police and then testifying at trial, Dunn testified that he, quote, saw a weapon in the SUV. But police found no gun. They found nothing in the SUV. The kids were unarmed. These were unarmed. These were unarmed children in this car just playing music. But again, we go back to which we've talked about a lot on this show, the crazy-ass stand your ground laws. It actually doesn't matter whether or not there was a gun, as long as Dunn says he felt threatened. Stand your ground pretty much means you can murder away. As long as you feel threatened, you have the right to murder. And look, if you need any more evidence of that this guy is a complete and utter racist, from prison, Dunn wrote, quote, "This jail is full of blacks and they all act like thugs. This may sound a bit radical, but if more people would arm themselves and kill these effing idiots when they're threatening you, eventually they may take the hint and change their behavior." End quote. So clearly we're dealing with a racist maniac here, right? So by the way, on an aside on this, the prosecutors in this case, which also are some of the same prosecutors in the Trayvon Martin trial, which many people correctly stated that they did a bad job here in the Trayvon case. They also did a pretty bad job here. The prosecutors apparently didn't use that letter and another letter that he wrote as evidence in this trial. They supposedly didn't want to bring the issue of race into this trial. I mean, why would they want to do that? I mean, a 47-year-old white dude murders an unarmed 17-year-old because he thinks he's a thug. He writes from prison that his racist vigilantism is the way to go to bring back peace and love to our society. He thinks that racist vigilantism is a way to teach these black thugs a lesson. That's certainly not something you'd want to bring up in court. That's certainly not something that's admissible as evidence, as motive, as why this crazy racist maniac would kill an unarmed black kid. So anyway, Dunn is eventually charged with first-degree murder and the attempted murder of the 3 other teenagers that were in the SUV. And while he was actually found guilty of the attempted murder of the kids who lived, the jury was actually unable to come to a verdict on the kid that he actually murdered. The actual murdered kid, they couldn't come to the jury was hung. So you heard me. Guilty of attempted murder of the 3 who lived, hung jury of the murder of the kid who actually died. Crazy, which again goes back to this is not just Florida, the crazy-ass self-defense and stand-your-ground laws that are on the books in Florida and countless other states. It's not just Florida, but even though, Trayvon Martin, that was Florida, I can tell you, after all this stuff, I sure as hell have no intention of ever going near the state of Florida. But it goes to show, again, just how our laws are just full of this institutionalized racism. It just goes to show how little we value the life of a black kid. I actually want to go back to Dunn's sort of concept of that we need to teach these thugs a lesson, all right? I want to talk about that a little bit here. So there was actually a story on the Florida NBC affiliate, pardon me, while the trial was going on. This is a little old article, but it was while the trial was going on. It was a Florida NBC website, and the title of the article was Florida Teens Watching Dunn Trial Worried About Outcome. And in this article on the NBC site, they actually quote a 13-year-old kid who is not at all involved in this case in any way, shape, or form. But they were talking about kids in Florida and the fear of their lives, and they actually quote a 13-year-old, and I'm going to read the quote. This 13-year-old kid, who again has no involvement with this case in any way, shape, or form, actually is quoted in this article as saying, quote, "I have taken off my hoodie. I usually wear it in the stores, but I've taken it off. And I don't really listen to music, as in that situation. I don't really listen to music loud, but I look around. I watch my back while I'm walking down the streets." End quote. And look, let me be clear. I don't blame this kid for worrying. He should be worrying. I don't blame any parents for worrying about their kids being murdered in the streets by crazy people. They should be worrying. But we need to be absolutely positively clear about this case and this whole entire giant problem here. The problem in this country isn't kids playing music too loudly. The problem isn't kids wearing hoodies going to 7-Eleven to buy Skittles. The problem is trigger-happy, racist bastards like Michael Dunn and George Zimmerman who have easy access to firearms and a country that refuses to hold them accountable for their murders. That is the problem. Not a hoodie, not loud music. Racist murderers with guns and societal and institutional racism that allows them to get away with murder. We'll be right back.